Paul, there's a little distance now from Saturday's disappointing FA Cup exit. What have you seen from your players in the training sessions since, and what more have you learnt about what we'll need to be successful this season?
So we had a very good meeting Monday morning regarding Saturday's fixture. The boys trained Monday and Tuesday as good as they've trained for weeks. I think it's very important to, at some point, there's got to be a line drawn underneath that game. It was unacceptable. We know that. No one's under any illusions that it can be just brushed under the carpet. But if you keep carrying that game on, it's going to affect our game on Saturday against St Albans, which has now become our next most important game because it's the next one. So full focus is on St Albans. I'm not sat here for 1 second saying I'm comfortable with that game last Saturday. It's still stinging me, and it's still stinging the players. But we have to leave it and we have to move on to the next game.
You brought Will Jenkins-Davis back to Plainmoor after having a loan last season. Why did you make that move? What will he add to the team?
Well, he's a player that I've known for a long, long time. He played in a lot of Fargo Academy games with my son, so I've known about him for years. He did very, very well for Torquay last year. He brings tremendous energy. He brings a will to win. He wants to do well, and he nicks a goal from midfield as well, which is very, very important.
Moving on to Saturday, St Albans City come to Plainmoor. What can we expect from them? What sort of game are they going to present on the day?
I think they're in a false position. They're going to come down here. They'll enjoy the pitch. They will enjoy the occasion. And as I said, it's up to us. Hopefully, with a packed out Plainmoor again. Because I can't stress enough how important that the fans have been all season, but specifically in the home games where we've got a good record at the moment in home games in the league. We're going to have to be on it. We're going to have to be on it. And to be honest with you, it's a game that we can't wait for because there has to be a reaction from last Saturday's game, Patrick, as you quite rightly said. So. What I don't want to do is the FA Cup game has shadowed our start to the season, which has been good. So hopefully we can get a positive result on Saturday. And it's not about getting back on the rails. We're not off the rails. We've had a bad afternoon. And hopefully I'm convinced there will be a reaction. I don't know what the result will be, but hopefully it's a positive one.
Fitness-wise, how do we stand going into Saturday's game?
So I'll know a lot more tomorrow morning. I'm very hopeful. Only Jordan Dyer will be our only absentee, other than Matty Wanacott, obviously. Jordan, however, is progressing very, very well. He's took a big step forward this week. And before the end of the week, he'll hopefully be out doing very, very light jogging. So he's coming on well. And I'm very hopeful that Falston and Hayfield will be available for selection.
Paul, we all know football's a funny game. Who knows what reaction you might get after Bishop's Cleeve. But quite often teams then go on really good runs off the back of a bad day at the office, don't they?
Yeah, well, there will be a reaction. I can guarantee you that. Listen, I'm going to have to answer these questions. Saturday doesn't sit right with anyone. It doesn't. There was upset, there was anger, there was surprise, to be honest, because the boys in the 8 league games before that cup game, I defy anyone to say they haven't worked themselves into the ground, because they have. I think the best way of describing it is a bad day at the office. It's a day. Listen. You can't forget about it, right? But what you can do is use it as motivation. Do you want to feel that feeling again? No. Do you want to feel that hurt again? No. Do you want to feel the anger and disappointment from fans again? No. So there has to be a reaction. There is no maybe. There has to be.
Did the players say anything to you on Monday that made you think, oh, yeah, actually, I see maybe where that performance came from, or because
No.
you said you had a debrief?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm good with that. Thank you, Paul.
We're not going to dwell on the game because, as you say, it's time to draw a line under it. But I'm interested in your reaction to it personally. In your after-match interview, you were clearly very, very angry. We haven't seen you like that before. And one of the headline in one of the local papers there says Wotton rages at FA Cup, shocker. Is that the first time that the players have seen that side of you? You said to us during the summer that you feel the game very passionately, but your approach is usually very measured. But
possibly to that extent, I think. Myself and my staff and the football club and the players have high standards, and those standards weren't met. So, I was angry. I was disappointed. I was upset. I felt let down, as many people did. But I am a passionate guy, and I would say it would be the angriest they've seen me, and hopefully they don't see it again. Because I don't want to be like that. No one wants to be like that. As you quite rightly said, there's been a lot. It's been a tough week. It's been a tough week because you have to draw a line under it at some point. And personally, I have. Obviously, it's coming up now because I've got to answer the questions, which is absolutely bang on. But the players, I've got to say, they trained great Monday and Tuesday, especially Tuesday. They were as good as they've been for weeks. So, they're hurting, I'm sure. They're not silly. They know the repercussions from it, and hopefully we can try and rectify some of that on Saturday.
Paul, you said on Saturday that you thought actually they'd been flat in training. What does flat look like? How does it look different last week to what you saw on Tuesday? And are there things that you've been able to do to get them back up again, apart from having the meeting with them on Monday?
Well, I think in your first part of the question, flat to me, they're just not themselves. They're just not the bubbly characters are quiet. The training sessions weren't amazing. And personally, I think that was, the disappointment from losing at Welling. Now, what we're going to have to do very, very quickly is learn to deal with disappointment, because we will get disappointment. We're not going to win every game because we've lost in the FA Cup. We're not going to win every league game now for the rest of the season. It's not going to happen. So we're going to have to learn to deal with disappointment very, very quickly. There was element of disappointment when we drew 1-1 with Averley from myself and the players. It's a draw. It's not the end of the world. The Welling game, we all know we would win that on another day. Disappointment's good. It needs to be there, but you've got to move on quickly, and I don't think we did last week. As in regards to what I can do to I can try and motivate and get players going. Sometimes you've just got to leave them and let them get over it themselves. But I think the fallout from Saturday, I think the players, like I just said, they're not silly, Clive. They know. Do you know what I mean? There's a responsibility there, and they knew that the performance wasn't good enough for Torquay United Football Club on Saturday. So I think there will definitely be a reaction. Again, I'm repeating myself. I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to win. You know what I mean? I'm too humble for that, and I respect St Albans and Mark Noble too much for that. But I think there will be a reaction from us, as in our work rate and desire, absolutely.
Do you think that you've got leaders in the dressing room and in the squad? Because you and Mike obviously can do a certain amount, and that is your responsibility, but the players bear responsibility as well. So have they got it within themselves, you think, to pick themselves up better than they have been doing?
Yeah, well, I've seen that this week, yeah. So in answer to your question, yeah. We have got leaders come in all different shapes and sizes, and some are loud, some are quiet, some lead by their performance, some with their mouth, some with organising. We do have leaders. We've got young boys, and I'm convinced that Saturday's game, I'm convinced they'll learn from it. I'm convinced it will stand them in good stead throughout the rest of their career. Because you have to, and if you don't, how long can you carry disappointment for? It's got to leave you at some point.
Not necessarily talking about the Bishop's Cleeve game, but away games this season. When you're at home, you've got a big crowd behind you. All the young lads are standing together, and they make a lot of noise, and around the ground. When we're away, sometimes this season, at this level, people are spread out around grounds and mingled with the away fans. Do you miss that kind of group of Torquay fans in one place at away games?
That's a really interesting question. I think our fans are tremendous. Home game, obviously, we're going to outnumber. Do you know what I mean? It's you don't get many away fans really, and the noise they make from the crowd is great, and it really drives us on, really does. And the away fans are just as good. But you are quite right, in non-league football they don't get segregated. I think the game that stands out to me was away at Bath when they were segregated, and it felt like a real them and us kind of scenario, which was great. But look, people have got their choice to stand where they want. I'm not going to sit here and say, you've all got to huddle together behind a goal, and sometimes it's not a great view, is it? And some people want to. I think it does make a little bit of a difference. I get what you're saying, but listen, we're just appreciative of people paying their hard-earned money to come and watch us play, and we've got no divine right to tell them where to stand. So, but I mean, I think you only look at that as well when you lose.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So Welling and Farnborough, our fans were spread out around the ground. If we'd won those games, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So, I get what you're saying, but.
But Chesham, in the first half, fans were spread all around the ground. In the
second half, they got behind the goal, didn't they? Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
And that felt...
I think when you're in a group, don't you make more noise naturally if you're in a group scenario? I think, but no, it's a good crowd. I get what you're saying. I'm sure there'll be other games. There must be some certain games where it's definitely segregated, isn't it? I would think. I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know, because Bath definitely was, wasn't it?
The games have been coming so thick and fast in these first few weeks of the season.
Yeah.
We're moving into a little spell now where obviously the cup date is blank unless you're trying to fill that as we speak.
So we're not looking to fill that one, Dave, but there is a scenario which I'm sure you was going to say of the Maidstone game. So we play with St Albans Saturday. It's then a fortnight until Hampton and Richmond away. Then a week later, we're due to be at home to Maidstone. Now, if Maidstone progress in the FA Cup, then obviously there's a fixture there that we would definitely try and arrange something, move a league game for that game, because I think it's a couple of reasons. I think it's not ideal for us to not be playing for 2 weeks at a time, and also it's not ideal for the fans. That's a long time to be without football. That's why. Hopefully, they turn up in big numbers, which I'm sure they will on Saturday, because there could not be a home game then for quite a while. We'll have to cross that bridge when we know what Maidstone are doing in the FA Cup, obviously, but we're not actively looking to fill the 28th.
28th day. No. Are there some pluses for you in this? You've spoken in the last few weeks about. The Saturday, Tuesday, pretty relentless.
Yeah.
Are there some pluses in having a few
I think
at prayer where you can perhaps plan some more work?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to everything.
Players like playing, don't they?
Yeah, of course. And once you get into a rhythm, you like to keep going.
Yeah.
But then give Jordan Dyer another 2 weeks to get over his injury, which is good because I don't think he'll be far away after that. It gives us a chance to assess the squad and see where we are. Do we need some more incomings? Do we need a couple of outgoings? Don't read too much into that, by the way. Just it gives you a chance to sort things out. Definitely.
Yeah.
It gives you a chance as well to keep working on those things on the training ground that I want us or how I want us to play, because. it's quite abundantly clear we're nowhere near where I want us to be. So the only place you get that will be on the training ground. So it's pros and cons, Dave, to both of it.
Yeah, and presumably it makes it even more important that you tackle a bit of a fallow period like that on the back of another win, of a home win. Doesn't it? You wouldn't want to be going into. That's bleedingly obvious.
Not you're glad you said that. No, it's yes. No, you're right. Yeah, like I said, I can't predict the result on Saturday, and nor would I ever sit here and try and do that. But we'll be doing all we can to get a very positive result. That's for sure.